Want to see more cool videos on our channel? We do, so press this bell and enable to send notifications.
Seems we're always looking out at the world when we're not on our phones, gazing into the skies, wondering about life's deepest existential questions, or maybe staring into nothingness, stupefied. But sometimes when you turn your attention to the ground below, you might just find a treasure trove. From fossils of ancient writings to fighter jets or Ferraris, even alien spheres, anything is impossibly possible. Here's our list of 10 unbelievable discoveries found buried underground. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Let's begin. Number 10. Buried Russian fighter jets. We've heard that many things have been buried, but we have no clue what, where, and why. American forces found Russian fighter jets buried in a desert. Several aircraft were buried beneath the sands in Iraq. Out to Qadim airfield west of Baghdad, according to former Congressman Donald Rumsfeld. The airplane, the MiG-25, nicknamed the Fox Pit, was one of 24 planes that were sent to Iraq in 1979 by the Soviets. The MiG-25 was no match for the British and the US and the Gulf warplanes, so Saddam Hussein did not use the planes very much. After 2 of them were quickly shot down, Wright said that by the time the US and coalition troops invaded Iraq in 2005, the jets were not in action. They'd been hidden by burying them in the desert sand. Contrary to the claims, they were not buried treasure equipped with sophisticated electronic warfare devices. These discoveries were remnants of the Cold War and more than 30 years old. In other words, nothing that had been seen by the US before. So until you find somebody who tells you where to look, or until nature clears some sand away and exposes something over time, we're simply not going to know. Survey experts find weapons of mass destruction in war-torn countries seemingly hidden right beneath their feet. But according to the former congressman, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Number 9. The Betts Sphere. In March or April 1974, members of the Betts family, parents Jerry and Antoine, and their oldest son Terry, were walking in the woods around their property on Jacksonville's 4th George Island. They found something strange, a metallic sphere about the size of a bowling ball. Thinking it had enough to make a good souvenir, Terry, then a 21-year-old med student, took the ball home. So one day when Terry started strumming his guitar near it, the ball started humming back. Soon it started displaying other unusual properties. It would roll around seemingly on its own, changing directions and halting abruptly. It even vibrated and emitted a high-pitched sound that would send dogs whining and covering their ears. Military officials asked for the sphere to be taken back to their lab for further research. When the Betts family declined, the military did what they do best, seized the sphere anyway. It was brought to Jacksonville Naval Air Station. The Navy used a 300 kilo voltage X-ray and it showed 2 items surrounded by a halo of materials and saw that there were 4 magnetic poles, 2 positive and 2 negatives. Further investigation found that the sphere contained radioactive elements and believed it defied the laws of physics. Since the discovery of the Betts sphere, people have come up with several theories of their own as to what the strange artifact could be, but the scientists are still baffled and have no idea where it came from and what it does. And of course, no one knows where the Betts sphere is placed or stored. Number 8. The Stolen Ferrari Dino. Only in Hollywood. Just before Valentine's Day in 1978, a buried Ferrari that was stolen in 1974 was dug up from a backyard in Los Angeles, California. Some children were playing in the backyard of their home, and while digging in the mud, they found something unusual and big just below the surface. Local police officers in the area were flagged down by the children to come and take a look at the mystery buried in the backyard, saying it felt like the roof of a car. Well, it was not just any car, a Ferrari. Just how did the once elegant 264 Dino Ferrari come to be buried in the home's backyard? Well, investigators learned that the car had been purchased in October of 1974 by a man named Rosenthal Cruz as a gift for his wife's birthday. 2 months later, the Ferrari was stolen, and investigators couldn't solve the crime. So the case of the buried Ferrari remained a mystery. Eventually, the vehicle that resurfaced was put up for auction and was finally sold. In 2012, the Dino Ferrari eventually ended up in the hands of Mike Spinelli, and almost 40 years on, thanks to his careful attention, the motor is now in great condition. It was also fitted with a new interior and repainted, fully restored. It also earned itself a custom license plate saying Duga. Number 7. The Terracotta Army. Chinese workers digging a well in 1974 made an unlikely discovery: thousands of life-size terracotta figures of an army prepared for battle. The figures are located in 3 pits near the city of Qian in China's Shaanxi province. The 3 pits, the 4th pit was unfinished, contain an estimate of 8,000 life-size terracotta figures, of which about 2,000 have been excavated. The figures were created to serve the emperor and the afterlife and include a mix of chariots, cavalry, armored soldiers, and archers. The details of the warriors are so intricate and individualized that it's been hypothesized that they were based on real-life soldiers who served in the emperor's army. Each warrior has uniquely styled hair and features. Some have caps and loose tunics, while others have armored vests and braided hair. They have different build expressions and postures. Another key feature is that the warriors were decorated in bright colors, which contributed to the individualization. A beautiful find. After the warriors were discovered, the site became a museum and a World Heritage Site in 1987 for people worldwide to enjoy. Number 6. Seattle Mammoth Tusk Cyano. The fossil was found 7 feet below an apartment development site. Paleontologists estimated that the tusk is at least 16,000 years old, but could be up to 60,000 years old. Paleontologists recently safely removed the largest fossilized mammoth tusk discovered in the region from a construction site. According to the Burke Museum of Natural History and Culture, the tusk measuring 8 feet 6 inches long appears to be the most intact and largest discovered in Seattle. The fossil was probably a tusk from a Columbian mammoth or Mammoth iscolumba, which was designated the Washington State fossil in 1998, according to a statement on the museum website. The tusk represents a rare opportunity for paleontologists and other researchers to understand the paleo-environmental conditions present in Seattle during the Ice Age. The statement said mastodons and mammoths are ancient elephant relatives that once inhabited North America. Mammoths are much more closely related to elephants. They arrived in North America from Asia about 2 million years ago, according to the museum. Number 5. The Superhenge. In September of 2015, scientists announced that the English countryside 2 miles northeast of Stonehenge concealed an enormous secret, a massive stone monument possibly 5 times bigger than the iconic landmark near Wiltshire, England. An international team of researchers said that the strong signals detected by their ground-penetrating radar and GBM-guided magnetometer led them to believe that they had found a Superhenge with more than 100 stone monoliths buried beneath Dorrington walls. Once home to a Neolithic settlement thought to have been occupied by Stonehenge's builders, when archaeologists began to excavate the Superhenge site, however, they discovered a big surprise. The anomalies that had been detected in the geophysical survey turned out not to be a series of buried stones lying on their sides, but a collection of 5-foot-deep pits deliberately filled with blocks of chalk that once housed soaring wooden timbers. As many as 300 trees may have been used to construct the giant circle. However, during the late Neolithic period when the posts were erected, the surrounding landscape was not thought to have been heavily wooded. The archaeologists found ramps at the sides of the pits that were used by the ancient people to lower the poles into place. They also unearthed interesting tools used by Neolithic builders. Number 4. Dead Sea Scrolls. Comprising of more than 800 documents made of animal skin, papyrus and even copper, these findings deepened our understanding of the Bible and shed light on the histories of Judaism and Christianity found at the remote site in the West Bank. This is where the most important religious text in the Western world was found in 1947. Among the texts are parts of every book of the Hebrew canon or the Old Testament. The scrolls also contain a collection of previously unknown hymns, prayers, commentaries, mystical formulas, and the earliest version of the Ten Commandments. Most were written between 200 BC and the period before the failed Jewish vote to gain political and religious independence from Rome that lasted from 1866 to 70, predating by 8 to 11 centuries. The oldest previously known Hebrew text of the Jewish Bible, and guess who found it in 1946 or early 1947? The teenager was tending their goats and sheep near the ancient settlement on the northwest shore of the Dead Sea, which is now known as the West Bank. One of the young shepherds tossed a rock into an opening on the side of a cliff and was surprised to hear a shattering sound. He and his companions later entered the cave and found a collection of large clay jars, 7 of which contained leather and papyrus scrolls and upwards of 2,000 years old. The afterword of the discovery got out. Treasure hunters and archaeologists unearthed tens of thousands of additional scroll fragments from 10 nearby caves. Together they make up between 800 and 900 manuscripts. Number 3. The Staffordshire. An amateur treasure hunter with a metal detector first heard his machine beep in a field in Lichfield, England, and this was in July of 2009. He dug down following the beep, hoping to uncover gold, but it was clear this was no ordinary archaeological discovery. The Staffordshire find consisted of spectacular items the experts believe were captured in battle by armies from the Kingdom of Mercia at the expense of the neighbouring Northumbria and East Anglia. It includes items that are unique, such as a large processional cross that offered evidence that Christian items were being carried into battle in this period as talismans. One of the items is believed to have been a Georgia ornament that sat on top of a bishop's headpiece. Both were deliberately bent and desecrated before being buried. Of almost 700 items identified, about 80% are fittings for weapons, most of them from swords. The gold sword pommels are extremely rare. Number 2. The Lost City of Tinia. Greek mythology and teachings tell of a story of a group of Trojan prisoners who founded the city of Tinia after being defeated by the Greek hero Odysseus and an enormous wooden horse. More than 3,000 years later, near a small village in southern Greece, researchers uncovered archaeological evidence of the city. They found tombs stocked with gold jewelry, silver and gold coins, and other valuable grave items indicating the wealth of those buried there. But when the archaeologists continued their search north of the cemetery, they found remains of buildings from the ancient city of Tinia itself, unearthing more treasure. In September 2018, when following an ancient road, researchers found a graveyard containing the remains of 2 men, 5 women and 2 children, including 1 woman buried in the same grave with her child. The archaeological evidence suggests that Tinia grew economically during the reign of the Roman Emperor Septimus Severus from AD 193 to 211. It, however, looks like during the 6th century AD, the wealthy city may have been abandoned. That's a shame. Number 1. Mummified. Scientists hail it as perhaps the best preserved dinosaur specimen ever unearthed. That's because these bones remain covered by intact skin and armor, acclaimed 120 million years after the creature's death. What? The Royal Thai Rail Museum of Paleontology in Alberta, Canada, recently unveiled a dinosaur that's so well preserved many have taken to calling it not a fossil but a dinosaur mummy. Researchers are astounded at its nearly unprecedented level of preservation. It was a gigantic 4-legged herbivore protected by a spiky plated armor and weighed in at approximately 3,000 pounds. And even today it's so intact that it still weighs 2,500 pounds. Researchers suggest that it might have been swept away by a flooded river and carried out to sea, where it eventually sank to the ocean floor. As years passed, minerals may have eventually taken the place of the dinosaur's armor and skin. This might even help explain why the creature was preserved in such a lifelike form. Thank you so much for watching, and if you enjoyed the video, please let me know by clicking the like button. Do share, write a comment, and don't forget to subscribe so that you can catch up my next video.